and it's my birthday. So we just came back from the steakhouse with the family, and I thought I'd share. I arrived late, basically early this morning from Dallas, and I was at the Collective54 annual Founders Summit. There were 225 founders there. And if you're not familiar with Collective54, 54 is the NICS code of professional services. So essentially, I think there's something like 400 or 500 active members, 1,500 past total members. There were 225 founders of professional services companies between $1 million and $100 million in that room. And what I thought I would do is share my 3 big learnings from this event. It's my second year going, being around my peers, and I think it would be really valuable for you who probably owns a Pro Serv or owns a SaaS software company. What did I learn from the event? Number one was really obvious, and this is why it was session number 1, was talking about the exit and working backwards. That doesn't mean that you are going to exit. In fact, there were many companies in the room that are multi-generational. They pass it, ESOPing it to their employees or from family member to family member. But all the successful firms actually used an exit as a foundation of a point in time, a place in which they're rowing the boat or flying the plane. That was the critical piece. And there were many that had 2030 plans, 2035 plans. There was this one guy that was on stage talking about his 2033 plan around succession to bring in a CEO to replace him so he could be founder, and then he would ESOP it to the employees. The whole purpose here is he had a plan, and you work backwards from the plan, and you think of, okay, what are the milestones or mile markers I need to get to every quarter, every year to execute towards a vision, to waking up to having real enterprise value. There's an old saying that you didn't actually start an agency on purpose. Most people fall into it because they win a couple customers and they're consultants, and they wake up one day, they have an agency. And most agencies never scale because they get addicted to pulling money out of the business too much in the form of dividends. They don't reinvest into sales and marketing. They're unwilling to build a commercial sales team and so forth. But what you heard in the room is those that had built 8 and 9-figure agencies. How did they do it? They did it because it was very intentional. I always remember one of my very first mentors was Ken Krogh, the CEO and co-founder of InsideSales.com. And he had a very simple saying. I asked him, how did you create a business that had $1 billion valuation? And he said, I was one of the first employees, this is him, of Franklin Covey. And he followed Franklin Covey's rocks to a T. And he said, all that I did is every quarter I made my rocks. And every quarter we did our rocks. In other words, maybe 3, 5, 7 of these big goals for every quarter. And he said, I woke up 50 quarters later and I had $1 billion business. So I didn't just close my eyes and wake up and I became $1 billion business. It was really intentional. In my business, we use a vision traction organizer from EOS. We use Franklin Covey rocks. We are very intentional about setting a goal for 90 days, achieving that goal. That doesn't mean that every single goal in our V2O, it's called, in our rocks get achieved, but we're very intentional to aiming to a place. The vast majority of those rocks get hit, and you wake up and you do it all over again every 90 days. And then years later, you're like, oh my God, my business has real enterprise value. It has value to other people. That is something that is built to sell or has exit value. The second detail in the learnings is I just want to make sure I'm still running. I am. The second detail was working through, we did this exercise as founders, 225 people in the room, where we had to do an elevator pitch to our table of our business and then on stage to 225 people. This was incredible because even when you come from sales, you think that you have your elevator pitch down pat. It's amazing. They had kind of a Shark's Tank experience, how quickly your value, the way that you describe who you are, what you do, who you serve, how you serve them, you get long-winded, you can't articulate down to save people time, money, or mitigate risk, like value proposition. This was so valuable to do. And I highly recommend that if you're listening to this, sales and marketing and product need to get together in a room, and they need to pitch this to outsiders, not to each other, but to pitch it to outsiders. And outsiders hear where you're like, "Oh, that just doesn't make sense. This isn't very clear. You're using acronyms. You're using hyperbole." This I highly recommend, especially marketing and product coming together and making sure that you're not just selling into the void. You're not just talking to the void. You're talking about things that are meaningful to your customer. So in fact, you could do this exercise almost in front of prospects as some sort of roundtable and get their feedback. And then the last, I actually wrote it down. Now I want to remember what I wrote. Now I don't remember what I wrote as my third idea. But the next day, I missed a few of the sessions in the afternoon as I had to fly home early. But the other big learning, of course, there's no substitute for networking. Like, networking is just, it's unbelievable what you can accomplish in 24 or 48 hours in front of your peers, in front of your prospects, in front of your market. You kind of shortcut all the months and months of marketing efforts and sales outreach. You see somebody that you've been engaging and they see you, you shake hands, you sit down for a cocktail or you share lunch together, and a deal culminates from it. In my 2025 business plan, live events, it's a must. It will be part of the plan, absolutely. And in fact, I'd like to invest more in it because while it's not as scalable, the close rates, the conversion, and also the feedback is absolutely incredible. So now I don't remember what my third point is. Maybe I'll write it in the chat after, but I hope you found this valuable. And